Yeah, so when I was brought on board and then started this emotional intelligence journey, it started from my former position where I would review all our incoming complaints and uses of force that happened at the department. And, I would see a lot of consistent themes when things would go wrong, when they would go bad. Body cameras are relatively new to law enforcement, but what they do give leaders is an ability to really look at exactly the fact pattern leading up to what ended up going wrong, right? And it's right there, and you can review it, and you can look at it. And so there are some instances that happened where officers made bad decisions in the moment and had tragic consequences for them, their careers. And having worked with a lot of these officers before, I knew that if I had gone up to them the day before or at roll call and said, "Hey, hey, don't use some excessive force today," or "Hey, don't swear at some citizens today," but they would just look at you and go, "Of course I'm not going to do that. Why would you think I would do that?" And so recognizing that officers are not intentionally doing this, right, and that something is happening that's causing this disconnect in the officer's mind in the moment, and looking for a solution to bridge that disconnect between, of course, when you talk to them rationally, they're going to say they're not going to do these things, and but it still happens. So how can we get to the point where we can train our officers so that in the moment, in that critical second, something bad doesn't happen? Yeah, so as part of our AO training, myself and four other handpicked members of the team went and got trainer certification through TalentSmart, and then we roll it out as an 8-hour training day for the department. But it's not just an 8-hour training day, right? So there's a test that you take beforehand that gives individualized results for the officers to find out where they're strong with emotional intelligence and where they're weak. And so we did this as part of training for every sworn member of the police department over 15 weeks. Starting with our peer support team, the team that was probably more likely to understand these concepts and adopt them, try to get them on board to understand why this was important, and then roll it out to the entire department. It's kind of part of our long-term cultural strategy change to ensure that officers feel comfortable talking about emotions and how they affect us. Because in law enforcement, we generally don't talk about emotions. We don't talk about how things at work affect us. But suppression, like I think Dr. Campbell said earlier, is not an effective way to deal with the issues we see in law enforcement, because unfortunately these things will come out at the worst time. Yeah, and I'd highlight that it's only been a couple months since we finished all the training, and already about 50%, about half the officers have said that they're always or usually applying these EQ skills that they learned. That 2/3 of the department rated the training as good or excellent. And what I'm hearing from the officers or other supervisors is that not only are they able to use these skills that they learned, in EQ towards their job, but it's really the stories that they tell me are the stories from home where they were immediately able to apply this to the relationships with their spouse or with their children. Police officers see a lot of accumulated trauma over a career. And, if you have a really stressful day, you can go home, you can have a hard time communicating with your family because of how you're feeling and things like that. And so, or maybe how they're coming at you or how they're feeling about something that they saw on TV or something. And so effectively communicating not only at work, but then also at home is, I think, the biggest highlight I would have here. It's not just something that happens on the job. These strategies apply to everyday life and your relationships with the people that are most important to you. Also, emotional intelligence sometimes is about what we don't see, what's not happening, right? And we're not seeing the same problems and issues that we had before, right? So take away some of those negative things that happened. I'd say, it's really important to build a team around you that shares the vision and the goals of providing your officers with the tools that you need to be successful in the job and life. And if you're listening to this, you already have a gateway to possibly being interested in emotional intelligence. So if we told you that we were going to give you a strategy, a product, a way to prevent one bad use of force, one termination, one lawsuit, one divorce, or one officer suicide, why wouldn't you try it?